Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello. Today we are talking about the life of people in our mid-20s, reflecting, navigating life's paths, as many different ones there are. We're going to be talking about ours. And if you're wondering who we is today I brought my friend Jennell. Jennell is a friend from undergrad as well. If you listen to the Introvert Social Hour, a lot of my friends are from university and from college. So it proves that I've made some great connections along the way. But Jennell is getting a MSW and an MBA from Washington University in St. Louis. Jennell is doing therapy at a nonprofit and Latino advocacy at Washington University as well. So welcome, Jennell. How you doing?
I'm good. It's an absolute honor to be here. And it's also so good to see you.
Yes, I know. Literally, the minute I saw, I was like, Jennell's here. We got to do this more often. I just have to say, I was like.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's hard though. I've talked about this before of like it's kind of hard to you meet so especially I feel like Mirror was like a good way to like launch in. So we found a
Yeah.
lot of people along the way, like a lot of just really cool people, like genuine people. But when you meet so many people, life kind of happens and it's so hard to keep up with all of them. Like I can think
Mhm,
of so many people that I would love to be able to talk to like every single day, but life makes it hard. I can
mhm.
barely keep up with family most of the time. So,
It is. And I'm like, sometimes I can barely even keep up with myself. Like,
seriously, that too. Yeah, accurate. Heavy on the accurate.
yeah.
Heavy on the accurate. So as we talked about, as I kind of like mentioned, for listeners out there, we're gonna be talking about it's pretty a pretty open and honest conversation about where we both are specifically in life. It is gonna be a little bit more on the personal side, but there's I think sharing our ideas and our kind of like location of our life map will help other people out there, whether it just be an open moment, an open eye moment, or be like, oh, I'm also there and I can relate. I would love to hear back. Listeners, please let us know, like, if you can relate, because there's going to be some moments where I'm like, listen, I'm lost in the sauce. So if you're also lost in the sauce, let me know. I'd appreciate that. Um, but like, let's just do life updates in general first, because it has been a minute since we've talked.
Mhm.
What's been happening in your life? And then I'm gonna also share too, but it's been 4 years since we've graduated, which
Right.
is wild say almost exactly 4 years in the next few months. By the time this episode comes out, it might be already. Um, but what's been going on? What is the
Yeah,
20s giving what it's supposed to give?
I Yo, that's such a good question. Like, is it giving? It's giving stress like a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
giving busy too. But it's also like I think I have overall just met like a lot of very nice, very interesting people, but kind of I guess like starting right after the pandemic, like well, I guess like right when the pandemic happened, I was working as a behavioral therapist, like a registered behavioral therapist with autistic kids.
Okay.
And I was working in Ramona, California. Like
Mm.
I think that's like from where I remember where I was living because I was living in Mira Mesa at the time in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
And then with I was living with I don't know if you remember, it was like Josh, Josh Grimes, Eric Ron, and then
Mhm.
David Gonzalez. So I was living with them in Mira
Okay.
Mesa.
Okay.
And I think my commute was about like 45 minutes every day. It was like pretty rough. So, and then like
Mm.
my clients that I was working out with over there, absolutely rough. People who are
Yeah.
therapists and like continue to do that route, props to them, props to you all, whoever is out there like doing it. Like, but also I see that it's so needed. I could not have done that. I could not have stayed in it because oh my gosh, the amount of times that I have cried after like doing work
Oh.
was insane. So I did that for a little bit and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go get my master's. So
Okay. So that's when you flew out and went to St. Louis?
yeah,
Like you took
yeah,
the jump?
yep. And St. Louis and the University of Denver, Colorado were the only places I applied to. And I didn't even realize that Washington University in St. Louis was a good school. I've never heard about it before.
Yeah.
Like
You're the
My
reason I know. I was like, Washington, DC.
That's what everyone says. That's what everyone
Yeah.
says. But apparently it's like the Harvard of the Midwest. Like it's a part of like the one like colleges that's on like the Questbridge scholars, like whenever people get matched
Ooh,
up with Questbridge.
okay.
Um, I had no idea. And also like when I applied to like the Masters in Social Work program, apparently it was like one of the best ones. Like I think it's like I think it's like tied for like second with like two other schools for like top in the nation. I
Mm.
had absolutely no idea when I applied. So it was very fruitful, but like my principal investigator for my lab actually was like, I went to WashU. And I was like, oh, I'll go to WashU too. And that's how that ended up going.
Okay.
I hated St. Louis when I first got here.
Oh, mm.
It's so different here. The culture is very different. People are
Yeah.
very interested. It's like very like it's really like it's very like there's not a lot of culture, but that's just because I
Mhm.
just wasn't working hard enough. Um,
Okay.
So that's what really got me into like salsa dancing. Like I was like, I
Mm.
need to find more of my people here because I think it's like in St. Louis, it's 92% black and white. And then it's
Yeah.
like 8% everything else.
Hmm.
So I had no idea when I got here. Like there's no like, high key,
Yeah.
like low key, St. Louis, a big foodie city. Like I have
I
had some of
believe
the
it.
best food that I've ever had here.
Hmm.
Um,
I
but
believe it. Yeah. No, but I imagine because only times I've ever heard of St. Louis, um, are like the really random times. But from my perspective, though, from what I did know, I always assumed it was one of those places that was majority like black and white. Like I
mhm,
compare it, even though it's not South, I compare it a lot to like southern states and
mhm.
cities. So I can only imagine coming from California, specifically San Diego, to
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a jump.
Yeah, the amount of times that I got was like, it's like you came from San Diego to here. Why? And I was like,
Yeah.
grad school. I don't know. I just thought I'd get my degree.
Hmm.
And halfway into like my first year, someone told me that they were getting their MBA too, and I was like, I'll do that. Because I got
Okay.
an email from the business school that was like, we can offer you at least 50% of your like tuition. So then I got accepted. First it was at 50%, and then I got negotiated first like again, and then I got 75% of my tuition covered, and then I
Okay.
negotiated one more time, and then I got 100% scholarship.
Hey,
So
go ahead. Your business is already working. The
that's what I'm
negotiations,
saying.
they said, all right, you won. That's cool.
Yeah, and then that was last year. I technically finished all my coursework for my MBA.
Okay.
Um, so I'm just finishing up my MSW, doing therapy, um, working. I have so many jobs now, but like some of the like I'm a part of like the Latin, like I'm in charge. Oh, we restarted the Latin Graduate Student Association,
Mm,
which has gotten like a lot of traction. We've had some events that a lot of people have liked.
that's
And then
good.
the university was like, even like, hey, aren't you the person that did this thing? And I was like, yes. They're like, cool. Can we just pay you to do the other ones? And I was like, yeah. So
Okay.
that's where I am now. I'm currently on the look for some jobs. I don't
Mm,
know which I have like a few avenues that I want to go into, which like diversity and stuff like that, or like
yeah.
making people feel like they belong in their workplace, making sure that people don't hate their jobs. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe at the moment. So
Okay.
looking
You
for
have a
jobs.
lot of options.
I
Yeah.
can only hope.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll talk about my experience. You have a lot to reach out and apply for. The
hmm
job market is a little rough right now. I don't know what it looks like in St. Louis. I assume it's easier than New York. Maybe a little bit smoother right now. But you have a lot to like work with. And then correct me if I'm wrong. When you graduated UCSD, I remember you got two majors. Am I wrong? Okay,
hmm
was it business psychology? What
Yes.
was the other one?
It was
Was it still CBN?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I remember we were both cognitive behavioral neuroscience majors. Okay,
Yeah.
I just had to double check. I was like, I remember. That's why when I had saw that you were getting your business administration, and I was like, okay, this matches because I remember you getting your business psychology. I remember it being a thing because it had popped I remember. I can't remember when they dropped that degree. At that point, though, like I was so far in my CBN, like I was almost done. And
Hmm.
then I was like, I could add on, but I was like, I don't know if I could make it in time.
Right.
Because I was like, I had to graduate in 4 years. I didn't have an option because I was also on scholarship. They were like, you got to be done by four. But
Right, right, right.
yeah, no, I remember that. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you got
good memory.
options.
I
You
appreciate
see?
that.
Yes. No, I remember.
That UCSD
Um,
brain.
you
You.
know, I try. I don't feel like I don't use it that much these days, but I try. Um, for me, my kind of catch-up story. Wow, you went in such good detail. Okay, so I feel like I should kind of fall back too. So we graduated 2020, obviously during COVID. So that I think that impacts our like mid-20s reflection of life as well, because literally the peak of graduation we got hit with COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so the everything just kind of the world was not where it was what we were expected to kind of graduate into. Um, what's funny is um at that point, I had decided I was going to pursue dance, but because of the state of the world, I was like, well, I have my cognitive and behavioral neuroscience degree. I need a job. I was willing to do something similar that you had did actually. So you kind of made me glad though I didn't do it. And so
Yes.
because I knew um shout out to anybody who works with children who are autistic, but I know it's just not my cup of tea. I know I cannot mentally handle it. But there are a lot of jobs out there like that. I remember like seeing those when I was looking for jobs on Indeed, and I know someone else had done something similar as a behavioral therapist. Um, I don't know if she still does it now, but I know she had done it too. And I just knew though, like it, there was a point where I knew I wasn't gonna do therapy just because I knew it wasn't for me. At a point, it had grew out of it. It wasn't in my mental capacity.
Mhm.
I ended up that was 2020. So the next like year and change, the rest of 2020 into 2021, the rest of 20 and all of 2021, I moved back home. Like I was like, where am I gonna go? I didn't have a job, so I moved back home to the Bay. Um, got random jobs here and there. Ended up working for like a nonprofit. Via um like remote, but they were based in New York, but it was a remote kind of job. And then I ended up I'm like it was so funny. I was just dropping random jobs. I worked at Lush. That was actually a grand time. I actually vibed. Um I didn't have a problem with it at all, actually. I worked at Lush. I ended up working at Orange Theory Fitness for a little bit.
Good.
Wasn't my cup of tea though. I didn't like the management. So I dipped after like 2 months.
Mhm.
Respectfully dipped though. You always got to leave a good,
Yeah.
reputation. But I was like, yeah, I was manifesting though. I was like, yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving out. I was like, I'm trying to move out of my house, my home. I'm trying to go somewhere else. They were like, okay, yeah, go off, girl.
Mhm.
At that period of time though, I was also in the process of getting a new job. So I ended up working for the city. Um and I it was a mixture of stuff. So I was a camp my first job ever when I graduated high school was a camp counselor. I was a camp counselor for where I actually used to go to camp. It was a day camp and also a summer camp. So it was funny because I was working with people who also like saw me grow up. And
Mhm.
then so I ended up that helped me get the job at a different city though. Um, and I was a camp counselor, also though a dance instructor, also slash gymnastics instructor. So
Mhm.
that was fun. I wish I could take that job with me. I think it was like the best job ever with the best people ever. But it just wasn't in the proper place for me. Something like I'm not trying to tell all my business, but like, because just for people who's out there, but like, it's like when you think of like Quiet Town,
Mhm.
that's what it was. And I'm not quiet town girly. I guess you can see it on my LinkedIn or whatever. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, so Brentwood, California, quiet town. And it wasn't my vibe. It was way too suburban.
Mhm.
And I needed city. And I needed where the heck am I gonna take dance classes at? There's nowhere for me to take dance classes. I can barely find a dance studio to even like rent out for a little bit to practice. Like it was just so hard to like try to elevate and continue. So I kept looking for jobs, LA, New York, LA, New York. Ended up finding a job in New York. Went through the process. They hired me. I was like, should I take it? Is it enough? Do I want to be a teacher? Am I sure about this? Like me with kids? I was like, I'd like you. You could ask younger me. I'd have been like, never being a teacher. Squash that right now. Um, and I ended up saying, well, that's my way to get to New York. if I take that jump, I'm skipping a few years in my head mentally because I thought I was going to go to LA and then to New York, like maybe like I said 5 years down the line in like 2021. And so
Mhm.
I was like, hey, look, okay, I jumped a bit of my timeline, so I'll take that.
Mhm.
Um, and we kind of go from there. So the job thing is a whole other thing. If y'all have listened to my podcast, listeners, I haven't told too much of my job story because I still work there. But if you listen to the Teachers Deserve More episode, you get some of that information from us. But yeah, I've been there for 2 years now, and same. I am also ready to anybody out there hiring, I'll take that. Share my podcast. We can get some growth here. Um, but yeah, I would say that. I think for me, I kind of related to cultural changes, not in that aspect though. What I got from New York was in California, we get a different diversity than we get in New York.
Mhm.
So I feel like, in California, what I grew up with in the Bay, like, it was a larger population of like Asian culture. We got also like Polynesian culture. I don't be seeing nobody over
Mhm.
here. Like, that's what I was like. I was like, I don't see that as much in New York. Just different things like that. For New York, what I get a lot of what I'm still getting used to is like one, which I'm just incredibly just wasn't used to, seeing people my skin color and then throws
Mhm.
me completely off when they start speaking Spanish. I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah. I was like, you're darker than me. And it's just like a complete like ignorance moment of just like just what I grew up in like
Right.
California. Um, or people come up to me and they're like, they start speaking Spanish. I'm like, oh no, I don't, I'm so sorry. I know very little. So just little things like that. Um, but I would say for the most part, it was just like, I love having access. Like that was the biggest issue I had. Like if I wanted to just hop and go somewhere, I can.
Mhm.
And that was something I didn't really have. It gets kind of boring in smaller towns and stuff, for me personally. But I
Mhm.
know like some people like that vibe, and for me, I just know I'm a city girl. So,
Mhm.
that's where I stand. But I would say that's the catch up in the past 4 years. It's wild to say that it's been 4 years because now I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I kind of get a little nervous. I'm like, I'm getting further and further away from like college life, but it's so true though.
I know we're 6 years away from our 10-year anniversary. 1 year away from our 5-year anniversary. Like,
Yeah.
oh geez.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, no, it's kind of wild. Someone asked me, they're like, do you think your high school is gonna have like a 10-year anniversary? And I was like, why are you at, oh, it's 2 years from now. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, oh, alrighty then. I was like, I don't know. But I thought that was funny.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think as far as like your personal and professional like lives, what have you gone through as far as achievements, challenges, milestones? What has
Mm,
hit you maybe where you least expected it?
hmm. Oh, good question.
Yeah. And
I
if
know.
you need time to think, I could give you one too. One did pop up for me.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, where do I want to start? So I was like, there's achievements and challenges. Um, Achievement, the biggest one I think was just like being okay with taking a jump into the unknown. Um, and moving out here, kind of just like pretty much being on my own. I am on my own. And being okay with that. And
Mhm.
then still like 2 years later, being pretty okay. The challenge with that, I took a leap, which was great, but with that came its own challenges of having to deal with things I didn't know I have to deal with as far as professional work. Um, yes, I had had many jobs prior, but that was my first like 9 to 5, and I worked longer than that, like 7:30 to 5. So
Mhm.
like, um, kind of getting into that adulthood and being like, this is what it's like. We work all day like this. I was like, somebody cut the cameras. Like we gotta working that long, and just like only having 5 days of like not only having five, only having 2 days to kind of decompress. But Sunday scaries are a thing. I know teachers feel it a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure it's still a thing in general work areas. But then you also have to like prepare for your week and don't say you have kids. That's a whole other
Mhm.
category. So just like coming to those kind of revelations and conclusions, um, being okay, be like, these are moments that you asked for. These are things that you wanted, but then also being like processing that was kind of hard. Figuring out that the catch of it all, um, of like you got what you wanted, um, in pieces. Obviously, I'm not like on Broadway somewhere kicking my leg up. That's okay, but like in pieces. So it's like, no, you've taken your steps, you've got there, but also like processing like, ooh, this is not as I thought it would be 100%, you know?
Mhm.
So I would say that the achievement slash challenges of it all. It's always a balance of being grateful, but also processing, like trying to figure out that next step.
Right. Yeah, I think it's kind of like kind of similar. Something that like kind of came up to me when you were talking about that is just kind of like how I think I'll start with a challenge. It's just like how I interact with, I guess, the outside. Like when I'm
Mhm.
actually going outside in like nature. Like, cause in St. Louis, there's just not a lot of like one, there's so many mosquitoes, and like it's either always like humid outside or like really hot or like it's really cold. Like it got to like zero, like it got 0 degrees a few months ago, like a month ago,
Mhm.
and it was like freezing. Could not go outside till icy. Like the thing is, like the snow is not here fun here.
Wow.
It's just very, it gets
It's
like
just
it'll get snowy and then it'll like very little bit and then everything ice. So if you try being
um
outside, it's like very icy.
mhm.
But even like I think in Cal, and I used to live in California, it was just very like I could go outside, go for a little walk, and then like it would be like so nice, very refreshing. I could like go to the beach. I can go on a little hike or anything like that. But here there's not like that many like I don't know how it is in New York, but like I know here those are like we're at sea level right now. There's no mountains. The closest thing that I can go to like a river or like a
Mhm.
mountain, I'd have to like drive about like maybe like 30 minutes away to go like in a 1 foot deep river.
Mhm.
And also we have like I think it's like the Mississippi River, but like she's nasty. Like
Yeah.
if I look hard enough, I can probably see like fish with like a leg and like 5 eyes.
Oh
Like
man.
but that's been like I think a challenge of mine, which is like learning how I've had to adapt. But with that, I think it's like I've figured out like new things with like I have never really considered myself like to dance or anything like that, which I feel like we can probably bond about now, but like I really like to like Latin dance. I
Mhm.
prefer bachata, but the amount
Mm.
of times and like the amount of times I go out dancing here is like insane. Like I can like
Mhm.
up to like sometimes I've gone like 3 or 4 times a week, or like if
That's
I'm
good.
tired, I'll go like once a week. Like it just kind of
Yeah.
depends. The scene here for like salsa dancing like is incredibly poppin'.
Mhm.
Like I had no idea and I did not expect of it. But like this the people here like and I've met so many people like and for some reason the therapy pipeline, the people who are
Mhm.
therapists and the people who are engineers at Boeing, when they go, they all meet at this club. And it's just
Nice.
I was like for some reason everybody just like and you just meet so many different people here. Like it's that I think has been a really big accomplishment of mine. Like one, it's like really fun cardio that I get to do, but also it just like it helped me build my network outside of like school. It's my little like sanctuary that I've created in this basement in this one
Mhm.
neighborhood in St. Louis, of like this like dance club. But it's been really nice to kind of like force myself to find a new hobby that is like, okay, I can go outside and get out of my house
Mhm.
but then still hang out and talk with people because the same people go every week. So it's kind of like, I'm like, okay, I can go myself and I know that I'll see at least this person, this person, this person, this person, at least.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I am curious. That first time you decided to go, did someone like have to pull you in, or did you just say, I'm just gonna go and you were ready to go by yourself? Like, how did that start?
It was actually, so it was a friend of mine in my program, in my master's in social work program. She was like, shout out to Claire. She was like, oh, she's like, I go salsa dancing on Thursdays at this one place. And I was like, ooh. And I was like, that kind of sounds fun. And then she
Mhm.
was like, yeah, because like when if you go in before 9, it's free. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
like never pay usually. I'll like go and like the
that's
thing is
awesome.
the regulars like kind of like socialize beforehand. So she's like introduced
Mhm.
me like with a lot of those folks and like they have lessons
Mhm.
before too. It's like if you
That's
don't know,
cool.
like you can like learn for like 2 hours.
Mhm.
And then she taught me, and then she would introduce me to like, she actually introduced me to the space, and then she introduced me to her friends, which have now become
Mhm.
my friends because she left to actually she moved to Oakland right now. Like
Oh,
she's actually gonna move to
wow.
Oakland next month. Um,
Okay.
a nonprofit with like I think unhoused folks. But yeah,
She got busy
it's
work ahead of her. I just want to
exactly.
say. Yeah, so shout out to Claire.
Yeah.
Shout out to Claire. My goodness.
Yeah, then like her people became my people, and then I think since then I've just been like, wow, this is like a very wholesome space that like if I need to like even like decompose and just like I'm like I had a rough week, I can just go there. I don't even have to dance. People would just be willing to talk and be like, how's it?
Wow. I'm so impressed by you. That's so cool. So the reason I say this is because for me, I've actually that's what I found to struggle with actually is like finding more community in like a new place I've moved into. Um, Once again though, I think what's cool and that's the catch of it all. Like something in New York is it does become like kind of a bit oversaturated, but also in a way like it is a small world sometimes depending on where you go. But a lot of the
Mhm.
times you're not going to get a free 99 class.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And if they exist, you really got to hunt for them. And then also a lot of the time, being in a space like New York, and I know this happens in LA too, a lot of people in those spaces are there because they want to network and they want to get to know people in order to get the next thing or the next job. So it's not
Right.
so like natural in socialization, I feel like. Um, but I don't if you're in New York and you know of a space like that, please let me know. I think that'd be cool. Anyone listening out there. But I can't think of a space where you could just like go in for free, vibe, talk, take some free classes and, just continue vibing. I think that's really cool. So I'm glad that you found that.
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah, like I'm like as you said that, like I was like people in St. Louis are absurdly nice. Like, and I was like trying to think like because it didn't even occur to me like when folks are like interacting like in like New York or LA, like most people are trying to like network to try to get to like that next point in their life, which that's how what probably what I would do if I were at like a conference or something like that.
Yeah.
People are just like you can look at someone and be like, so where do you work? And then we're like, I work here. And then they're like, cool. How long have you been coming here? And then like,
Mhm.
or like one person will like randomly be like new, and then you're like, oh, you're good. Where'd you come from? Cool. You are now a friend. Like,
Immediately.
yeah,
Stamp.
it's like, hello, welcome to the friend group. You are good.
Oh,
You're gonna come often, so welcome.
that's cool. Yeah. No, that's super cool though. Especially I think the biggest thing is like if it's free, you literally can't like go. You can't
That's
like
what I get from
no complaints.
people.
Hmm. No complaints at all. Um, no, that's really cool. In regards to like, so you've gotten some developments. You're now like you're dancing. A few years ago, maybe you would have been like, "What, really? For sure?"
Mhm.
Um, we're now in our mid-20s. How do you think it differs from other stages in your life? Like, where do you think where you are now? I assume growth. I feel like we both have grown, but in what ways have we grown? And maybe what ways have we in what paths have we gotten to maybe that were not expected at this point in our lives? Whether
Mm,
up or down, that could be some case scenarios.
right. Yeah, I think honestly, I think one of the main things, like, so two things popped up when you were like talking about this. So the first one is like, I think my mental health has gotten significantly better when it comes to how I regulate my own self. So like I can one communicate my emotions. I think I can communicate and like analyze and pinpoint my emotions. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like this because of this. I don't think I'm the best at being like if someone makes me feel that way. Like I don't know if it's just because of St. Louis people, but like also when I talk about St. Louis is one of the worst places to date people.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
gotta know. I gotta know. I'll ask.
But like whenever I try to like when it comes to communicating my feelings, I feel like I'm able to be like, I am feeling like this because of this situation that we were both in. No,
Mhm.
I like mainly I statements, but where I'm like, this is what happened. This is how it's impacting me. And I understand that it's not your problem to fix it, but like understand I need space to be able to help myself regulate again.
Yeah.
Um, or even when I'm like, wow, really stressful day. I deserve a nap. I don't care. Sleep has been a big priority for me as well. But I so that was one thing that I'm proud of that I did not think I would have probably even thought I would have gotten to this point.
Mhm.
Or I know I was very hoping I would get to this point. I think even especially like my freshman, like sophomore year of like undergrad.
Mm.
But I did at this point in my life, like back, if I were looking back and I were like undergrad me, I was like, I would probably have a boyfriend or like a partner by now. I don't. It's
Heavy, heavy on the agree. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I think it'd be cool for partnership. With whoever I have, I've had some folks who have tried or have like maybe my standards are too high, which I think it's
No
okay.
such thing.
But like I don't know, some people are just I'll meet some people and for some reason my biggest dating demographic that I've recently come across is men over 30 who are divorced, which I would not,
Dang, why are they all divorced?
I don't know, I meet them in the wild and then I'm just
Mhm.
like, "Hey, how's it going? You're cute." And then we start talking and then they're like, "By the way, I have a kid and I'm divorced." And I'm like,
Mm,
I was like, "Okay."
again, yeah,
Okay.
the
So,
struggle.
I don't know what it is, but I think I'm chill. I like being single too, but also like my
Mm,
friends who are partnered are like, "Oh, dating sounds hard." But then I'm also like, and honestly, I'm not too like it's not too bad. I like being single at the moment. I think that I
mm,
can it's nice to like really enjoy myself while I can, and I can't wait to give myself to someone, but also no one has come across myself. No one has come across me where I'm just like, yo, I want to give you my everything.
mm-hmm.
Vice versa. But also St. Louis, one of the worst cities ever to date. Like it's statistically proven for some
Struggle.
reason.
Is it because they're all divorced? What's going on? Why? Like, what happened?
Not for real though. Like on so many people are like I bet so many people like who share the same struggles. Like I just don't know what it is. I think it's just because like I have like it's like a hint. It's just probably because of like how like the culture is that like a lot of people are very much like not wanting to get hurt and they're wanting to protect themselves just because of how like the city is. So it's kind of always like looking
Okay.
out for your own. And like I think I want to say it has something to do around that,
Mhm.
but also yeah, because no one is like people are like very like not trusting here, which I feel like
Okay.
to like committed stuff. I've gone on dates where I've been like, oh my gosh, hello, Mr. Man. I would love to pay for your drink because you were very nice. And the guy was
Yeah.
like, you don't think I can pay for myself? What are you trying?
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like, I just thought I'd treat you because you seem very nice, but now I don't want to.
U-turn. Never mind.
Yeah,
They
and I was
got
like,
they got too manly man. They were like, I can pay for my own stuff. I don't want you to pay for my stuff.
exactly. Yeah, they get very much into that. They're like, who are you trying to say? Like, what you trying to do? Like, or if I try to like open the
Oh.
door for somebody and
Uh,
they're like, we're not doing that. I'm like, okay,
oh.
I
Like,
apologize for existing.
like who hurt you?
That's what I'm
Like
trying to
what?
say. Who hurt you? Why are you
Wow.
judging people? But yeah, that
See.
is a long-winded answer for your question.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's so true. I have a question, but I'm gonna tell you my thoughts before I forget that, and then I hope I don't forget the question. But in similarity, it has been like this for so long. So like middle school me was like so impressed by TV, and I wanted this like high school cutesy romance. High school me was like, hey, it didn't happen, but I'm going to college. I'm gonna eat it up. I'm gonna have a college romance. It's gonna be cute. And college, graduated, COVID happened, things like that. I was like, maybe I moved to the city. I was like, maybe I'll find something in the city. Hasn't happened yet. But here's the thing. And my friends Sabrina and Nicole have let me know very, very, very well. I don't go nowhere. I stay here. I go to work. I go to dance classes. I go to my aerial classes, things like that. I'm not a huge socialization person because I can be very introverted and still pretty like shy, to be quite honest with you. And the only reason you know me is because you've known me, like you've known me for
Mhm.
a while. Like it, I'm not gonna be chatting it up. I try. I think I do pretty well. Like few
Mm.
years past me, when one person was talking to me like they were like, "Oh yeah, this area thinks that." I was like, "Yeah, it is," but da, 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 da. Look at me continuing the conversation, right? Like progress. Um, but there was a certain point, and I don't really know exactly when I got there. It definitely had to be within the past 5 years. I don't exactly know when, but I think it was a progression. But I can't pinpoint the exact solidification of it. But there's a point where I was okay. Like I saw other people struggling in and out of relationships.
Hmm.
To be quite honest with you, I saw people struggling dating, and I even like tried the dating apps and stuff too, and it just wasn't giving what I felt like it was supposed to give. Like I used to be like, oh, I have high standards, and once again, it's me to be like, no, your standards aren't high. They're your standards. Like there's no such thing. I was like, you know what? You're right. There is no such thing as high standards. Like I deserve what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to like fly a spaceship. Like it's just like pretty standard, but the main thing is like I was just okay like figuring out myself. I think that was so important. Um, what I am grateful for is that while nothing has happened in this time period, I've been able to figure out myself in every new generation of myself I have come across.
Hmm.
Like college me was very different from 2020 out of college 2021 me. Like that was a period where I was like crushed by a few things, and then
Hmm.
I had to heal and grow from that on my own and figure that out. And then moving here 2022, 2023, 2020, now 2024, I had my periods of being crushed as well, but different reasons now. So it's just like, and I think for me personally, once again, I have no experience in that realm, but I think it's important to heal and understand myself before trying to jump into anything. And I'm
Hmm.
perfectly fine being single. I've told my friends now I'm at this point. You need to add to the cup, not empty it. Like I'm perfectly comfortable where I'm at. So you got to add to it at this point now because
Hmm.
you're not about to add stress. You're not about to add all those other things. Like you need to be able to positively add to my life or it's not even worth bringing you in because I'm completely okay by myself. And I
Right.
I love that I got to that point because a few years back I'd have been like, oh my gosh, like, I can want with that. Well, I want what y'all have. And then they're stressed out. Oh my gosh, they said this and the miscommunication errors. Now this person's sad, crying. Like, oh, I'm so glad I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I know exactly what I want. And I know exactly what I don't want to deal with. And I know exactly what I'm not going to deal with.
Mhm.
And I think it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I totally, I like that I guess analogy that you were like, I have my cup is to my fullest desire. You can only
Mhm.
add to it and make my cup bigger. So
Mhm.
that's how you were saying that. It's like you are not about to add stress. You're not about
No.
to take away my good happiness and take away my own water and my fullness.
Yeah.
Add some BS into my cup. Mm,
No, mm-mm, no. So that's where I'm at, and I'm so happy I'm there because there's one thing that, and it probably makes it harder for a person to enter my life because I'm such at peace with myself, where I'm okay. Like, um, eventually though, they were like, you're gonna eventually have to like go outside. Like that's how you meet people, KaVonna. I'm like, oh, we'll get there at some point. Um, I have to actually want to be outside, and most of the time, I'm so comfortable at home.
right.
So it's just like, we'll see. Um, but my question was, I remember you had went to Australia. You studied abroad in Australia for a while.
Mhm.
Would you did you have any success rate there? Would you like find a man's in Australia or was it like not even worth it?
You know, when I was there, I didn't have any success, but I would like try. Funny enough, I think I'm friends with someone on Facebook,
Mhm,
which we talk sometimes,
mhm.
like maybe like once a year.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't remember how we met, and I don't remember if it was when I was in Australia,
Mhm,
but like he has shown interest in me and vice versa, and I'm just
mhm,
like, I don't know how we met, but I'm down for this. Because I don't even think he lives in like Sydney. I think he lives more in
mhm.
like more south and
Okay.
where that is like I think it's like Melbourne or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't remember how I met that man, but
Mhm.
would I would
Okay.
definitely I would if I
I,
did good, but I don't think I tried. Did I try? No, I was trying to hook up with people from from the people that we went with, not gonna lie.
oh, got you. Okay, that makes sense. It's a safer route. Safer route. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Oh,
but
oh.
In
That's so true though. When you meet people abroad, it's like I don't remember how we met. I know we met when I was abroad. That's as much as I got. You luckily you connected, or else then you don't remember names and stuff too. It's a funny experience.
exactly, yeah. But in what is it? In like I think it was at the end of 2019 and then the beginning of 2021, I was in a very nice relationship with someone from undergrad.
Mm,
Um, and then he ended up going back to Saudi Arabia to go finish his P to go do a PhD. And then, things just didn't work out, but that was probably the best relationship that I ever had. It was so nice.
okay.
He was so nice, so understanding.
Mhm,
I still think about it to this day. I'm like, see, those are the standards that I need to have because I had my standards were still the same.
mhm.
Communication was good, and I'm like, I can find that again. Probably
Yes,
in St. Louis, maybe my, I don't know.
you never know. Yeah. Oh, that's so true though. It's out there. It's just a matter of when, where, timing's a huge thing. Um, That's yeah, timing is a huge thing. I just read a book on that. Like it was fiction, but it was so true though. Like the matter of timing on how relationships impact your like life.
Hmm.
Um, that was a fun time. I read that and I was like, wow. But yeah. Speaking of timing though, we talked a bit about like relationships and how the expectation versus reality. Um, how have your expectations of adulthood in your teens, though, in general, compared to the reality of your mid-20s now? So, general thinking.
I got taxes.
Ooh, 'tis the
I,
season.
I'm like, yeah, like like actually just recently, so like I didn't realize that taxes were going to be such a big thing. Same with utility. Like I guess like utility, like I didn't think I was like if I pay rent, my utilities will just be a part of it. But like
Yeah,
utilities are a part of this too. I just did not expect that. Um,
yeah.
just like the amount of times that I have to keep my car clean and do all the like just the amount of cleaning that I have to do. Like
Hmm.
when like right now I live in a two-bedroom apartment by myself, but like it's a little bit to
Oh,
clean, but like also like my rent is like 687 per month. Like
ooh,
it
vibes.
yeah, it's really nice. So like that's where I was like, okay, like I didn't think I would be living in my own space like this.
Mhm,
But also like man, the taxes that I have to had to pay, it was like because like in like Missouri, if you own a
mhm.
car, that's personal property. So you have to pay taxes on that. So I had to pay $800 on taxes for that.
I don't like that because you still have to pay for registration.
Yeah, that's like a part of like the registration. Like, well, no, yeah, you do. It's like $25.
Okay, so it's not okay. Because I was about to say, I don't like that because that was one thing I didn't like when I had my car in California. Our registration was like $200. Yes, it's per year, but why am I, my car exists. Why am I
Yeah,
registering every year? That bothered
right.
me. Okay.
No, yeah, same.
That's
Like
still
I
a
was,
lot though.
yes, I was like, because I had to get, which this is also like a thing I was gonna mention too. Like St. Louis is like natural disasters like to happen to it. So a lot of like the
Mhm,
most amount of like car insurance claims through nature issues come through St. Louis because there's so many trees that falls on cars. Like there's a lot of
mhm,
hail. There's a lot of like water and rain. Because like I think it was 2 years ago. No,
mhm.
a year and a half ago in the summer. I was studying abroad with the MBA program, and then I get this email, and it's like, "Oh, there's a lot of water. Close all your windows." Or we're getting a lot of water. It's like, "Hey, your basement flooded, so we're gonna move you into a hotel tomorrow." And
Oh.
I was like, "Fun." So like when I got home, like my whole car, like the whole street everywhere was completely flooded. My car got
Mm,
totaled. All of my winter clothes were like gone, and like my insurance was like, "Oh, since it flooded, we can't cover any of that." But shout out to FEMA. FEMA really was like, you were in a natural disaster. We're here to help. And I was like, oh, thank
exactly.
God.
Right. Not them about to like leave you for yourselves. What the heck?
Exactly. So I tried to word it and I was like, there was like a lot of like hydration that had like impacted a lot of my stuff. And then they're like, what do you mean by hydration? And I was like, things kind of got like wet. And then they're like, did things flood? And I was like, yes. And then they're like, oh, no, that doesn't count for your coverage. And I was like, thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Mm-mm-mm.
Stressful. This, it had that kind of like dealing with that stuff. I was very stressed out. I didn't know what to do. I was like,
Yeah.
I might as well take another shot at this club that I'm at.
Oh, oh, that's so true though. Like the random kind of like things that no one tells you about when you are a teenager about what to expect. I like there are things I was ready for just in different price ranges because things really spiked up after COVID
Hmm.
specifically. But like I knew eventually I was gonna have to pay for rent. I knew eventually like I was gonna have to pay for like taxes. Taxes was nicer in college. A little bit money. I don't get that anymore, but it was nice in college. But eventually I knew I was gonna have to pay for taxes. Eventually, um, when I had a car, I knew that there was registration. Did I think it'd be as expensive as it was? No. But I knew I would have to do that. Luckily enough, I had bought the car. I like a little small used car, so I didn't have to deal with like a car payment. So that was cool. Um, things like that. I didn't expect things to be so expensive. I don't think anybody did, no matter their age. I think everything, right, we were just in a really unfortunate time where things really spiked up and they're not really going down, including food.
Hmm.
Um, I would say what has been incredibly difficult is how difficult it is to find a job, even with a 4-year degree,
Yes.
because yeah, um, they tell you, you go to college. You get your 4 years. Even no matter what kind of degree you have, you're gonna get a job somewhere. Like you're gonna have jobs up the roster. Like they're gonna, you have options. And the options were optioning. Even with job experience, like the options weren't optioning. And even now, the options aren't optioning. So just like, I think I've been lied to. I wouldn't take my experience back. I've said this before on an episode, like is college a scam? I've said this before, but like I wouldn't take my experience back because of like people I met along the way, the experience I got outside of just like taking classes, but like work experience, some extracurricular experience, things like that. Um, and even with the classes, there are people I met in my classes along the way, things like that. But did it help me, my degree itself?
Hmm.
Not 100%. I mean, yeah, I got my job because I had a 4-year degree, but did I use my exact 4-year degree for my job? No. So that's all. I think it's just more so like just can I get a job? Like or it's a no. So I try not to like be so pessimistic in the sense of like, you know, oh, like still go to college, but just what is your path? Like just have a plan. Because right now the world doesn't look too spicy these days. So it just, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, mentioning that, it's like I remember when I graduated and I was like, cool, I'll get a job. It'll be like fine. This is what they said to do, and it's gonna work out. And then like I don't know if it's because it was also the pandemic, but I was like, I don't like know what I'm doing. That's why I ended up in like
Right.
I could go get a master's in, I guess. Because I was supposed to like help, like, do you remember that Pete's Coffee by the gym?
Yeah.
Like, so I was supposed to help expand the middle of Muir, like mom, the coffee shop. I was supposed to
Okay.
help them expand there. And then I was gonna be,
Really?
yes, I was gonna be the owner of that area. So I
That's
was working with Justin, and that was supposed to
uh-huh.
be, I was working with the Recreational Facilities Advisory Board, and I was like, all right, let's
That's
put
so cool.
a second mom on this part of campus, and I'll be like the owner of that.
Mhm.
And like UCSD was gonna like invest a whole bunch of money into that. So that was my plan post graduation, was to be
Yeah.
the owner and the supervisor of this shop with like Justin co-owning it with me. And we were gonna
Mhm.
have a roastery on this campus. And then COVID happened and everyone pulled out. So I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm gonna do now. Like, so I was like,
And so cool. I know nobody can see my face. You can see my face, but like that, it would have been iconic. That would have
do
been so cool. Oh
what I'm
man.
saying. Like when my heart dro like my heart like broke
I
like
bet.
when that news came out of like
Mhm.
the investors were like, hey, like we don't know what's happening with like COVID, so like we're gonna like put a pause on this for a while and then
Mhm.
we'll get back to you. And they never did. But like that's what ended up like I was like, okay, I have a 4-year degree. This should get me something. And then I ended up getting like this registry, like a registered behavior technician job. I was like,
Mm.
wow, this is not what I like at all. This is not
Yeah.
what I prefer. And then even now, I'm getting two master's degrees. So when I graduate, I'll have six letters behind my name, like MSW, MBA. And the MBA is supposed to get me somewhere. But even now, when I'm trying to get like jobs, like when I go to conferences to try to like look for jobs,
Mhm.
I don't have the job, I don't have the job experience because apparently a year of job experience is not enough. So I need to like go into like
Yeah.
an entry role.
That too.
Um, and still trying to get like stuff, but like even then, places are just not vibing with me. And I'm just like, I did, I got two master's degrees. What are you telling me that this isn't working? I have to go
Mhm.
somewhere. One of you guys has to like me. But
Well,
so
hire me ASAP because I said so.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, I was like, you said that they said to get master. They said to go get educated. And I was supposed to get a job.
Mhm.
Lies.
It's so annoying. It really is because I'm glad you mentioned that too. It's like that was a thing I experienced when graduating immediately too. I was open for anything. I was like, okay, dance is on pause right now. I'm assuming COVID's happening. Nobody's dancing like, other than on the internet. Like it's not a thing. So I was okay. But even then, nothing. And if they it did pop up, they're like, we want you to have a bachelor's plus 7 years of experience. Where was I supposed to get the experience if everybody wants me to have experience before they hire me?
That part.
How was that? How am I supposed to get experience? But no, I 100% agree. I just need somebody to take a chance on me. I know I'm a great worker. Like you want me. I know you
Yeah.
want me. Hop me in anything. I have done so many different things, and I don't know if that's why they're afraid to hire me because they're like, she doesn't have a path. Like she's done a few different things, but it's like no, like I get so interested in like everything. Like, put me in, coach. I've done special events. Put me in, coach.
Hmm.
I kind of get annoyed having to pull back to college, but really, like, please remember we had a gap during COVID. Like, so I have to, like, yes, I do have to still pull from that. Like, yes, I did special events in college, ate that up. I was a whole house advisor for like 2 years, did that, and was a resident, intern for 2 years on that. Like, I got housing experience. I've got like college experience. Put me on a college campus. I got you. Like I need something, please. But I would say that's just a struggle right now. But I did want to kind of move into that before we start wrapping up of like what that looks like in navigating life's path and finding a purpose and fulfillment. Right now, I think what is happening now, and I know this, I've seen this a lot on the internet, is like people in their mid-20s, late 20s, because we're still mid-20s, people in their mid-20s, late 20s even will be there eventually. Um, they worry that they're behind. And
Mhm.
I think it's so easy to say that because we see people running so fast ahead of the game on the interwebs of all that. But in quite honesty, like a lot of people don't catch what they're going for until their 30s, may sometimes even until their 40s. And it frustrates me to have to think like that because I'm just like, let's go. I'm ready. But how has it been though figuring that out? I know you're gonna be in a space soon where it's you're graduated, you have your degrees, and you're gonna have to figure out what that next path is. So how have you approached that decision making and goal setting in your life right now to kind of lead towards those future goals, whatever they may be?
Mhm. So I think when I think in goals that I have, or like even I don't know if it's just because I'm very content with kind of like as long as I'm able to support myself, pay off my loans,
Hmm.
and then live and like also maybe have like fun. I think that's fine. And like however I'm seeing that fit, and as long as it's working out, I'm down. Those
Hmm.
are kind of like the goals that I have in life, where it's like I even do this a lot when I'm doing therapy with my kid, like with my therapy with my clients,
Hmm.
where I will be like a lot of the clients that I see are just like I see other like 19-year-olds like making bank and they're living in mansions and I'm living in my mom's house. Like what am I
Hmm.
doing in life? Or like there's a lot of it's very easy to get caught up in being like, oh, this person is doing that. I should also be doing that. But it's kind of like I always have to like kind of like sit back, also remind myself and others that like, hey, everyone's kind of like on their own, like nothing is like there's no expectations, there's no like the only milestones that you really have to look out for are those like when you're developing, like
Hmm.
as like a child. Those are like the only things that like truly that like if you have even then those are like pretty like it's like as long as it's like between these months you should be fine. But like
Hmm.
those are the only real milestones in your life that like you should be on track with, that you should be keeping track of. And I'm pretty sure that like stops like brain fully developed at this point. That's what they say. I'm 25.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like life, it's like there are people who I went to high school with that have a whole family and
So
they've
true.
considered that that's them succeeding in life.
Hmm.
With me, that's like getting a job post graduation. That's my success in life, which it'll happen. And I know for both of us, and it's gonna happen. It
Yeah.
just depends on like when and where.
Hmm.
But some people, I was talking about like with my supervisor, like her and her husband, she just had a kid. He's in
Hmm.
medical school right now, and they felt like she was like, yeah, she was like, I think I gave up a lot of my early 20s to create this family where like her, they were just talking about it because like they just had the kid. The kid's like 7 months old right now. They
Hmm.
were like, what would have life looked like if you didn't go to med school? If I didn't go get like my like degree for like therapy, like what would life
Hmm.
look like if we didn't have kids? Like we didn't have a kid, like what would we be doing? There's a lot of like them looking back and being like, we could have done so much, but it's like, I don't know, it's like a lot of those goals. I don't know. It's like I'm not I know sometimes it's hard to like compare yourself to like to folks, but I have been like, you know what? I think as long as I'm happy
Hmm.
and I am like I do what I can to be not as stress free, sorry, not as stressful, but
Yeah.
live as stress free as possible. I think that's kind of like my goals. Like I set very like I think the way that I like to word it for myself is like expectations real low, but my hopes are so high.
Hmm.
Like as long as I'm like as long as I'm fed, I have like a good enough house
Hmm.
and I'm able to like sustain myself and pay off my loans, I think I'm pretty much chilling. And as long as I'm like chasing happiness and I'm surrounded by those folks that bring me happiness,
Hmm.
those are my main goals. I want to stay where I'm happy and I don't want to compromise my happiness
Yeah.
to for milestones that are societal milestones that are not my own, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah,
But
no, I 100% agree.
mhm,
I feel like we're on the similar idea or path. I have milestones, but my milestones are for me. Like everything am I comparing myself to other people who are in a goal path of mine? Maybe, but I've done better as I've gotten older of like we were given different cards.
mm,
Like, and we were get somebody, maybe I got 50 Uno cards and somebody else got 10. I gotta get rid of a little bit more, and that's okay. Like, everybody has their own different paths, everybody has their own different access points, and I'm working on accepting that. I think my biggest one, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like I acknowledge that I didn't grow up with the most money in the world. My
mhm,
mom wasn't out here paying for dance classes to jump me into jumpstart dance early in my life. Any type of experience I got from dance, it was because I got it for free at school or something. And
mhm.
then from there, luckily enough, I was I was on the path. I said, I'm going to college, but we got to get these scholarships because I can't pay for it. So I was able to like even do that. And so I think for me, I compare against myself also too, because I look back and I was like, high school me was able to achieve so much. Like she had so many hopes and dreams and she made those things happen. I was like, I'm going to college. And I was like, and I'm going somewhere like not in the Bay Area. I was like, and I'm not paying for it. So we're about to figure this out too. And I was like, nope, I'm not getting loans because my mom can't pay for it either. Like I was like real
Right.
to the point. And for me, I think now as a person who's 25, I'm like, do I still have that same amount of hope and drive? Or am I kind of lost in the sauce of adulthood that those hopes are still there, but I'm not fighting for them as much as I
Right.
think I am? That's kind of like the theory I have in my head these days, like that manifestation. But like, no, I be manifesting hard though. Like I will say, when I had visited New York before I moved out here, I didn't know I was gonna move out here. I booked a trip to New York. I had enough money. I was like, "Hey,
Mm,
mom, I'm going to New York for a week." Vibes. I was like, got an Airbnb. I was like, I'm just gonna go. when I had money. Great times. And I was manifesting real hard. I'll never forget. I was on the freeway leaving New York City, had my like rom-com girl moment, no rom anywhere, but it was just kind of like moment you're driving a car. Or I was in an Uber and I passed by and I was like, oh, I had remember seeing these buildings. I was like, this would be a really cool place to live, like seeing everything that was around and stuff. And no kidding, like 2, 3 months later, I'm living in that exact location.
Mm.
So I was like, oh,
Ah.
like, so me after going through so many hardships in these past years, and not even that much, so I'm grateful for the things that I have had to deal with because it's made me a better, stronger person. But there were still struggles. It
Hmm.
has beaten me up a little bit, even though I'm still standing. So I have to think like, well, okay, well, these are your challenges. How do we overcome them? And some of them are my own, mental challenges. Like I've decided to be a dancer in New York City. I've decided to go against thousands of other people. That was the kind of deal I made with myself. I knew I was going into that, but like
Hmm.
figuring that out and things like that. Um, but I think I 100% agree though. My challenges or my goals are my own. One thing I can't appreciate is I have never been like, I'm gonna do this because somebody else wants me to.
Hmm.
My grandma doesn't like that. She's grown though. She's grown. But if it was up to her, I would have went to Cal State East Bay, exactly where I grew
Right.
up. Like all those things. Um, but no, like I know I'm safe to say, like I'm 100%. No, I'm not having kids. It's not happening. I don't want them. I want to
It's
travel
a
the world.
lot of work.
They cost a lot of money. I can't just go somewhere I want to. Like, no. I told Sabrina, I was like, when you have a child, I'm gonna be the best aunt. She said, no, you're gonna be
Yes.
Tia. I say, I got you. I'll be the best Tia. Like, I got you. But I that's where I stand. I know my limits. I don't want to own a child 24/7. I
Right.
want to be I got you want me to babysit for the weekend? Even a week. I got you. I don't want a child of my own. And like
Yes.
forget societal norms. I don't. Mm. My mom used to be like, I remember, I made this very clear in my teens. She's like, you'll change your mind. I said, bet. Never did. Hasn't changed. I know for a fact I will not change my mind. Which is perfectly fine though. Those are not things I want. But once again, there's so many people I know who are my age, who I remember
Mhm.
from high school, who do want those things, and that's so great for them. Like who do have those things now. Um, have a baby, have a husband or a wife, have a house to live in, things like that. I'm like, I love that for you. And then I'm like, I just want an apartment. I
Yeah.
just want a cute little apartment. As long as it's clean. I don't got to deal with no rats or nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I want. I was like, I want a full tub. I was very specific. I just want a full tub at least. I'm lucky enough to have a washer and dryer in unit.
Yes. Oh, nice.
It's not a thing in New York, not often. Oh man, I'm so grateful for these things. And so while I've hit certain milestones, even though there's certain ones I have not hit. So
Mhm.
it's a once again, it's like that bounce back. I have
Mhm.
this, but I don't have that. And but it's okay though, because mental challenges, right? Like they're never perfect. One minute I'm like, we're good. And the next minute I'm like, oh man. And I'm like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, it's like, I'm tired.
So right, exactly. Like this adulting thing is wild out here.
Right?
Yeah. And it gets me sometimes, not gonna lie. It be getting me. I'm like, wow, to be a child again. But
Mhm.
I think that's just the journey though of like not even just I feel like it hits you. The reason why I talk about for mid-20s right now, especially right now, is such a reflective time because everyone has so many different paths in this specific moment in time.
Yes.
Like no one that was something I was not prepared for in college. Like everybody's in college. Everybody's there,
Mhm.
experience things. Obviously not everyone goes to college, so I know other people doing their own things. But
Right.
once we start getting into the life of adulting, actual adulting, once we pass that college point, like people are in their like 21, 22,
Hmm.
everybody's going in five different directions and it's so interesting to me. Um but yeah, I would say that. I think we're on our way though. I really do think 2024 is like there's some things that are a little nervy. But
Yeah.
I think it's a year though. I think it's a year. Um, for listeners out there, let us know if you're in your mid-20s, what's the vibes? Are you okay? How are you living? If you're not and you enjoy this conversation, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Thank you, Jennell, again for joining this episode. I loved catching up and just like I'm glad to know that we're all in the same kind of like environment zone
Yes.
somewhere, even if we're in our different paths. Um, Listeners, thank you for listening to the Introvert Social Hour. share, like, and follow this podcast. Send it to a friend, a family member, a loved one. Just really share it out there. Get it out there to the world. Make it more global. Follow me at KaVonna on Instagram and at the Introvert Social Hour on TikTok to get podcast updates. Get some sunshine, get some air. Have an amazing week, and I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining. Bye.